Welcome to r/slash PettyRevenge. My cat's revenge on me. Hello happy Reddit people. This one is a bit different, since this is about how my cat got revenge on me. Recently, my much beloved feline has developed a wonky tooth. A snaggletooth if you will. Once we saw that it was starting to swell and our beautiful kitty had turned into a sticky drool machine, the decision was made to take him to the vet. We packed him into his crate and hopped in the car and listened to him sing the song of his people all the way there. He stopped as soon as the car was turned off and maintained a silence fueled by pure rage the entire visit. The vet, having concluded he had an infection, prescribed some drops to be administered twice daily, and we happily bundled our furry baby back into his box and set off for home. He sang part 2 of the song of his people. Fast forward to this morning. The first 2 doses of his drops had gone very well with minimal protest, so I innocently thought it would be the same this time. Oh, how wrong I was. I prepared the dose and called Kitty for breakfast, and he came skipping blithely into the kitchen with a happy, expectant look on his cute fuzzy face. "Hold up," says I, "you must have your medicine first." I scooped him up and plunked him on the counter and grabbed the dosage syringe. Kitty took one look and balked, spat at me, jumped down and ran off. After much coaxing and promises of many treats, he sauntered back into the kitchen, and I grabbed him up and plunked him down on the table. "Medicine," I said, preparing to dose him. "No." Kitty howled. I ignored his protests and squeezed the drops into his mouth. Kitty took a deep breath, curled up his nose and spat the meds right into my open mouth. Instantly my brain exploded at the noxious taste filling my senses. My fingers curled and my toes clenched. Steam came out my nose and my eyes began to water. Seriously, Buckler's cough syrup has nothing on this crap. Kitty watched me suffering with an intense look of satisfaction while he cussed me out loudly and viciously. I staggered over to the sink and managed to wash my face and rinse my mouth. The taste of pure evil lingered, however. I reloaded the syringe and grasped Kitty firmly around the middle. It was on. I was out for vengeance. Or at least out to get this crap down his gullet where it belonged. I stared fiercely into his eyes and pressed the stopper and squeezed the fresh dosage into his mouth while he cussed loudly. He gagged, swallowed, and peeled out like a bat out of hell to nurse his wounded pride in the dark recesses of my bedroom closet, refusing to come out even for food. He forgave me eventually, however I assigned the task of dosing him tonight to another sucker, volunteer. Only 8 more days to go. Pettiest revenge back in high school. Circa September October 2001, I was on the football team in high school, and one day I left practice quickly after it was over and left my locker room locker unlocked. One of the kids, let's call him Ryan, on the team took my gallon-sized water jug, like the igloo ones, that were basically a cooler, took it in the bathroom, and took a huge dump in it. He was 250 pounds plus, it wasn't a dainty poo. He then replaced the lid and put it back into my locker. I discovered it the next day, and he was quick to proudly admit it was him. I told him he was going to regret that, and I threw it still sealed in the trunk of my car with every intention of using his own shit back at him. Fast forward to Valentine's Day 2002, I was single and went to the local McDonald's to pick up some dinner for myself. When I go inside to eat, lo and behold, Ryan is in there with his girlfriend at the time eating, and they happened to be perfectly seated at the window facing where our cars were parked. I quickly asked for a bag for my food and enacted my petty revenge. I started my car, put the food in the passenger seat and popped my trunk. Took out the jug of his shit and waited outside my car until someone else walked outside. A teenager about the same age come walking out, and I hollered at him to knock on the window and get that fat kid's attention. He obliged as I was walking to Ryan's car. While unscrewing the lid, he knocked on the glass and pointed to me. As soon as Ryan and his girlfriend's eyes were on me, I dumped the 6-month-old poop sludge all over his windshield and driver's side door, then smeared it with the cooler. He was way too big to run after me, so I flipped him the bird, left the poop covered jug on his hood, got in my car and left. I wasn't pranked anymore after that. By him or anyone. She embarrassed me. Why'd she have to be so rude about it? I'm not very good at remembering names. Especially with a large group. It was the first day of a 10-week computer certification class. I like to sit in the front. Yes, I'm one of those. There was a young woman in the row behind me, one seat over. The instructor asked us to say our name and one thing about our background. As we got toward the back of the class, the young woman noticed I had a hand-drawn seating chart that I was jotting down people's names. All of a sudden she burst out, "Oh my god, are you writing down our names? He's even got a seating chart." I was so embarrassed. I said, "Yes, this is a 10-week course, and I'm not very good at remembering names. What's the big deal?" She said, "Well, it's not, like we'll be sitting in the same seats every day anyway." So the next day I happened to walk in before her. So I took her seat. She was pissed. Linda was her name. Some pretty funny reply in the comment section. Posted by Sagatana. For the rest of the course you should have called her the wrong name. Every day, different name. Posted by Juno 2018. I love this so much. I used to post at a fitness forum many years back, and there was this one woman who was just miserable and argumentative. We all had our anonymous usernames, same as we do here. So another user would reply to her by calling her a different name every time. Alice, Mabel, Hannah, whatever came to mind. And the nasty lady went nuts. It was pretty satisfying. Won't take my offer? You should have taken it. This has been a little over a week in the making, but worth it. I've been looking at eBay for a specific pop figure. My brother has one particular figure, and I wanted to get another one from the series for him. I find what I'm looking for. It's brand new and has no bids on it, but the seller is taking offers. Has just been listed, so I have a while to wait until the auction ends. It starts at £9. The postage is £4. I decided to offer £14, which got rejected quite quickly. I then upped my offer to £15, which again got rejected. Fine. I'll click on watch, set an alarm. Notifications on my phone are unreliable, and wait. The alarm goes off. I have 10 minutes left on the auction. There's a chance that the seller accepted an offer, but I was willing to gamble on getting this pop figure cheap. Logged onto eBay, not a single bid, it was still on £9. I wait until the last 15 seconds before putting a bid on, and won the auction. £9 and it was mine. I immediately go through with payment, and on the confirmation screen there's an option to message the seller. Being a petty little bitch, I decided to leave the seller a message. "You should have accepted my offer. Thank you for your time." I had to wait a week, but it was worth it to deprive a greedy seller of a few quid. No sales for rude people. This story isn't mine, but from a friend/co-worker that I had when we were both working at a big box electronics store. This particular co-worker, let's call him Jack, is known for two things. One being knowledgeable about his area of expertise. He was specialized in selling phones for one particular carrier. Two being a rather grumpy person. I loved having Jack on the team. He was reliable, he knew his stuff, and he took shit from no one. So we are working in our department when I notice he's in a heated discussion with a customer. The customer was asking some questions. Jack answered, and the customer didn't like those answers. Jack is not the kind of customer service employee to change an answer or apologize just because a customer doesn't like what he said. So they argue for about 10 minutes. Turns out the customer was asking for about 5 of the newest iPhone to come out right after they had launched. Could be for a family, could be fraud. Jack wouldn't take a paper ID for something that could very easily come back to bite him in the butt. The customer left, angrily, to go get their plastic ID, and stopped to complain to a manager on the way out. Most of management has learned to tolerate Jack, and knows that, if he argues with a customer he's very likely in the right. So nothing bad happened to him. But this sets Jack off. He's mad that the customer decided to try and get him in trouble over the argument. Now, one thing you need to know about this Big Blue Electronics store is we had really good deals on phones. Buy one get one, gift cards, the works. So you really generally do want to get your phones there. Here's where the petty revenge comes in. Jack skips his lunch waiting for this customer to come back, and goes around instructing every person in the phone department that, if that customer comes back, that he's to take care of them. The customer comes back an hour later, beelines to me, and tries to start the transaction. With my best customer service smile I lead them back to Jack, as they're his customer. Their annoyance immediately shows on their face as they produce the same paper ID. Jack apologizes for the argument earlier and says he had a talk with the manager and will gladly take the paper ID. What? I've never once, in the 2 years I've worked with Jack, seen him apologize. He starts the transaction and gets most of the way through it. All the way to the end, taking his time, talking over all the features of the phone. He's with them a solid 45 minutes before he gets to the second to last screen before they can buy the phones. He then clicks one little checkbox that's going to ruin their day. See, remember how I mentioned we have to deal with fraud? Well, my company had a handy little tool for this, a checkbox that basically marks down that person's social and won't let it be run for any credit related service through our stores for the next year or two. You hit that person is blacklisted, and it is damn near impossible to undo that. So Jack went out of his way to waste almost an hour of this person's time, only to produce a screen that says, "Sorry, we can't sell you a phone for some reason. Better go to carrier's corporate store." The customer starts shouting and getting angry again, accusing Jack of maliciously ruining the transaction. Well, I mean, he did, but they don't know that. The customer leaves, then 20 minutes later my department gets a call. The customer is at another location that we have, unable to get a phone. He's convinced that Jack is at fault. I inform him that we can't control what other stores do, and wish him a nice rest of his day. I'm lying about the never-ending program of the dryer. We will see about that. A little background. My flatmate became a douche once he realized that I was serious about being paid in time. Recently, shit hits the fan, and we had an argument where we basically said everything that we didn't like about each other as flatmates. Among the various things I criticized about his behavior was the noise he was making after 10 PM, and I talked about the dryer that he often forgot to stop. For some context, this dryer is in our kitchen and can be very noisy. Also, once the program is over, it will still be making some turns every 15 minutes, unless you stop it completely. I don't really know why. So if you forget to stop it, it can be very annoying. My flatmate basically said I was a liar and called me a childish retard. I assume that, even though I explicitly told him that it was how the dryer worked, he always managed to not be near it between the 15-minute gap. Now for the petty revenge. Today, I was going out with a friend at 4 PM and didn't expect coming back before 11 PM. Before, I decided to wash some clothes. So normally, when I know that I won't be back for a long time, I just hang my clothes to let them dry. But today, as I knew that he would stay at home all day, I decided to give him a taste of his own medicine and put my clothes in the dryer during the time I was out. Tonight, I came back to see a turned off dryer. Keep leaving voicemails for someone else? I'll make my voicemail message really annoying. Last year, some stupid for-profit education company kept leaving me message for some person I'd never heard of. My outbound message is literally just "You've reached John Doe. Please leave a message," and they'd start in with, "This message is for Jesse Harrison," or whatever name it was. I had blocked the number from ringing long ago, but I was starting to get sick of them leaving me voicemails too. I could have unblocked the number, but it seemed like a lot more fun to just change my voicemail message for only them, a pretty handy feature of Google Voice. I recorded a 3-minute message, the maximum, where I repeated my name many times and implored them to actually effing listen before they leave a voicemail. They called once more after I said that message and never again. I guess they took the hint that I was just going to keep wasting their time or something. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for daily revenge stories.